Let's talk about the Sandler selling methodology. It's an interesting methodology. There's 7 steps in it. And what do we know about it? And many times the steps are literal. And so what you see up here are the 7 steps in the system. We know about bonding and rapport, an upfront contract, pain, the centerpiece of it, budget, decision, fulfillment, and post-sale. But the challenge of it is they have real functions associated with them. So when we look at bonding and rapport, we know it's about building relationships. And it takes a long time to build relationships. And so one of the challenges of building the relationship is the concept of trust. In our world, bonding and rapport is about building trust. Now, the average salesperson doesn't go about building trust. The average salesperson assumes trust. But we have a formal way of doing it. And the second part of building relationships is communication. We have to find a way to have a common language with our prospect. Most salespeople talk their language. Closing, we want to do this, we want to do this. But the challenge is prospects have a language, and we have to calibrate our language with theirs so it becomes common. Now, one more thing with bonding and rapport, you should write down gold, silver, and bronze. The challenge of bonding and rapport is to establish a way to develop a relationship. Most salespeople have relationships that are bronze, some even tin. But the challenge of a good business relationship is it has to be based, as I said, in trust. And silver trust is a lot different than bronze trust, and gold is the ultimate. The second step in the Sandler system is upfront contract. Now, we call it mutual agreement. And so we have to think a little bit about what does mutual agreement mean? Well, the 2 words associated with this compartment, expectations and an outcome. Every sales call has to have 2 sets of expectations met. The prospect's expectations first, because that's why we exist, but second, the salesperson's expectations. And those 2 things coming together form a productive agenda. And so in that creation of an agenda, now the meeting has purpose. But the second part of upfront contract is an outcome. Most sales calls have think it over as an outcome. And hoping that think it over will lead to a second sales call or something, well, the challenge is they don't. And so a firm outcome. What are the outcomes of a sales call? Well, the first one is no. Salespeople get more no's than yeses, but the second one is yes. And the third is a clear future. Do we have the ability to work toward no, yes, all yes means is we go forward, or a clear future, which means we have to meet to gather more information to determine fit or no fit. Third step in the Sandler system is pain. Pain is the reason that people act. It's the reason they buy. And the 2 words associated with pain, admit and commit. Everybody has pain, but are they willing to admit it? Now, by the way, admitting pain is only one thing. So the second challenge is committing to do something about it. And that doesn't mean committing to me to do something about it as the salesperson. It means they're looking for someone to help them resolve this pain, and when they find that person, they're committed to fixing it. We look at 4th step, budget. Most people are uncomfortable talking about money. So we have to start thinking about money as a real thing. Money is about belief. People invest in the things that they believe in. So the 2 words associated with budget, willing and able. Is your prospect willing to invest money to resolve their pain? Well, that's a big step because many aren't. But here's the second. Is your prospect able to invest the money necessary to resolve the pain? Those 2 compartments are critical compartments in creating value. And when we think about value, here's what we know. Value is whatever their pain is that they admit and commit to fixing and what it's costing them, and then how much they're willing and able to invest to resolve it. The 5th compartment, we call it decision. Decision is about influencers and timing, but we can simplify that even more. Decision is about people and time. Every sales call that you make has a series of decision makers associated with it, from the ultimate decision maker to the financial decision maker, the administrative decision maker, and the user group. All these people get a vote. But second, every sales call has a timeline of productivity. And that timeline begins with where you are today and where eventually that timeline stops with the closing of the sale. And time is either a liability or an asset to a salesperson. So this compartment helps it become an asset. Fulfillment. Fulfillment is about heard and understood. When you make a presentation to a prospect, does that prospect understand that you've been in their world before? That you can show them that you've been in their world before to help them fix it? And can you prove that you heard what they were saying to you back in the pain step? So heard and understood are two key elements. Most salespeople fail because they make presentations from their perspective. This is important to me to present to you, this is what we're going to do. The best presentations are made from the prospect's point of view, where the prospects understands you heard them and you understand how to help them. Lastly, post-sell. We look at post-sell as onboarding. Onboarding. Well, it's about connecting the now customer to the salesperson's company. Can we connect them? Can we put hooks in them that show we know how to bring them into our world? Most salespeople place a high value on the sale, but once the sale is made, do nothing to connect the salesperson to the company. So connecting them to the company is about putting hooks in them so they feel value. Could be having your president call and say, welcome on board. Your service manager, get involved with them right away to say, here's what we're going to do to service you. But that connectivity is a key piece. It's also about blocking competitors. Many competitors, they find this the time of the deal where the salesperson is most vulnerable because they come back in with lowered prices, with better value, and they try to shake a sale that was already made. And one more bonus point for post-sell, referrals. Referrals given at this point close at an extremely high rate, sometimes somewhere between 75 and 90%. But most salespeople don't ask for referrals at this point. They wait until they've begun servicing the account. So those 7 steps, as they exist right now, look just the way they look in the submarine. But my interpretation is something that brings them to life. So I encourage you, when you look at the 7 steps, to hear the things that are behind it, and not just focus on common language.